back again with yet another ChatGPT challenge video. You guys should be enjoying these ones quite a lot. So today we are back. I've already asked ChatGPT to give me a random by daylight tier list challenge. We got stealth versus chaos challenge. Rule: rank all killers into 2 tiers: stealth assassins S tier versus chaotic maniacs F tier, based on how much stealth or disruption they bring into the game. S tier: stealth assassins, killer that relies on stealth, sneaky plays, and surprise attacks. F tier: chaotic maniacs, killers that can create absolute mayhem, make a ton of noise, or force survivors into constant panic. Alright, so starting off here, we got Trapper. Now, Trapper isn't really a stealth killer, to be honest. He just relies a lot on traps. So I'm not gonna waste too much time here. He's just going to go straight up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got Raid. I mean, Raid speaks for itself. His power is literally him going invisible, so nothing really much to say about that. I'm going to go ahead and put this guy right up there in Stealth Assassins. Also, I do apologize if my voice sounds a little bit off today. I am currently sick. I'm doing my best right now, so please bear with me here. Next up, we got Billy. Now, overall, I highly doubt he's a stealth killer. He can hear his chainsaw zooming around anyway, so I'm gonna put this guy in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got Nurse. Now, Nurse is similar to Billy here. She's really a stealth killer, to be honest. She's more of like an average chaotic killer, so that is where she is going to go. Next up, we got Myers. Nice. Next up, we got the Hag. Now, Hag basically just relies on her traps, similar to Trapper here. So again, she's definitely not a stealth killer. Maybe she can rely a little bit on surprise attacks, depending on what add-ons you use on her. But all around, in general, based on her power itself without any add-ons and the killer itself as well, I'm gonna put her straight up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got Doctor. I mean, nothing really much to say about this guy. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this guy straight up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got Huntress. Now, Huntress, to be honest, if you're going for like long-range snipes with her, you could possibly easily get like a surprise long-range snipe. But you have to be incredibly good with her, and most of Huntress players nowadays won't be able to hit a long-range snipe. So highly doubt you're gonna be hitting any surprise attacks there. She's really a stealth killer anyways. You can also hear her lullaby as well, so I'm gonna put her up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got Boba. All around the average killer itself. I wouldn't really call him a stealth killer, to be honest, so he's going to go straight up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got Freddy. He doesn't really rely on stealth or anything like that, so I'm going to put him up there in Chaotic Maniacs as well. Next up, we got Pig. Now, Pig uses her traps, but she can also crouch to hide her terror radius, so I feel like she does technically count as a stealth killer. So that is where I'm going to put her in Stealth Assassins. Next up, we got Clown. Now, Clown is nowhere near a stealth killer. It's quite frankly the opposite of stealth. You can literally see him throwing his balls from a mile away. So I'm going to put him up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got Spirit. Now, to be honest, Spirit's power, you can get surprise attacked by her quite a lot. She can phase, especially if she's using a certain add-on. So that will make it a lot harder for you to actually not get surprised by her attacks unless you know what you're doing. So I guess based on that, I am going to put her up there in Stealth Assassins. Next up, we got the Legion. I don't really see him as a stealth assassin, to be honest. He's just kind of like an average killer here. He doesn't rely on stealth or anything like that. So I'm going to put him up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got the Plague. Now, the Plague is definitely not a stealth killer. I can definitely say that much. She just pukes around survivors, and no way she's a stealth killer unless she's using Dark Devotion, but that would count for every single killer here, so that won't really make it a fair rank. So just based on the killer itself and her power, I'm going to put her up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got Ghostface. I mean, this guy is basically just Pig and Myers combined here. 100% a stealth killer. His power is literally just stealth. So I'm going to put him up there in stealth assassins. Next up, we got Demo. Now, here's the thing. Demo can be a stealth killer once he comes out of his portals. He can have has a duration, I think, like 2-3 seconds of oblivious status effects. So you could use him as a stealth killer, but in general, he is nowhere near stealth killer. So I'm going to put him up there in chaotic maniacs. Though I might change him later on. Next up, we got the Oni. I mean, this guy is the opposite of stealth. His power is just running around in Blood Rush and just zooming around the entire map. So he is going to go straight up there in chaotic maniacs. Next up, we got Deathslinger. Now, Deathslinger is similar to Huntress here, basically. You can hit long snipes with him, and especially if you're going to use Monitor and Abuse, you can get surprised if you're not looking behind. But all around nowadays, it's very hard to surprise attack someone as Deathslinger, so I'm going to put him up there in Chaotic Maniac. Next up, we got Pyramid. Now, this guy is definitely not a stealth killer. Highly doubt he can ever be a stealth kill, to be honest. His power is just really running around using Trail of Torment, so I'm going to put him up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got Bleed. Bleed is similar to Oni here. He just rushes around the whole map and attacking walls, so I'm going to put him up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got the Twins. Now, the Twins is a little bit complicated because when she's using Victor, she can be a little bit stealthy, but nothing too crazy. She's not as good as like Myers or Spirit. I'm going to put her up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got the Trickster. Trickster is definitely 100,000% not a stealth killer. I don't really see how he can surprise attack you unless he's using certain perks. So I'm going to put him up there as a chaotic maniac. Next up, we got Nemesis. Again, not really a stealth killer in my opinion. I feel like this guy is an opposite killer that you would need for stealth. So he is also going to go straight up there in chaotic maniacs. Next up, we got Pinhead. Pinhead is going to be leaving Dead by Daylight soon, unfortunately, so rest in peace the box memes. This guy has the best voice lines in the game.
The box. You opened it. I came.
But all around, his power and the killer itself, he is not a stealth killer at all. Like, again, unless you're using certain perks, then if you're using certain perks, then most of these killers can be a stealth. But without perks and just based on the killer and his power itself, this guy is going to go straight up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got the Artist. Now, the Artist, she can give you a surprise attack with her crows from long range, but other than that, she can't really be that stealthy. So I'm going to go ahead and put her in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got the Unreal. Now, this killer is actually a very stealthy killer here. She's similar to Spirit a lot. She can teleport to TVs, but she can also basically go transparent for a certain amount of time and come back. That's similar to Spirit, so I'm going to put her up there in Stealth Assassins. Next up, we got the Dredge. Now, this guy is a little bit more complicated to raid because he can very much be a stealth assassin using his lockers. If you're in a locker and the Dredge teleports to you, you're definitely gonna get a surprise attack. So even in Nightfall, this guy can definitely be a stealth killer. So I guess based on that, I will put him up there in stealth assassins. Next up, we got Wesker. Now, Wesker, definitely not a stealth killer, 100%, so there's nothing much to say about this guy. I'm gonna go ahead and put him at Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got the Knight. Next up, we got the Skull Merchant. Keep in mind, the Skull Merchant does go oblivious if she is in her drones, so she can be a little bit of a stealth killer, but nothing too crazy here. I feel like a lot of the killers that are in stealth have a lot better options at actually like being stealthy than her, so I'm going to put her up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got the Singularity. Next up, we got the Xenomorph. Now, she's another complicated killer to raid similar to Dredge, because she can technically use her tunnels and then come out right next to you, which gives you a little bit of a surprise attack in a way. And she technically can be a little bit of a stealth kill. I feel like she does have potential. So I am actually going to put her up there as stealth assassin. Looking back at Demo here, I am going to change his spot since I do feel like he's very similar to Xenomorph here. So I'm going to put Demo in stealth assassins as well. Next up, we got Chucky. Now, Chucky is definitely a stealth assassin. His power is literally just going stealth. So I have nothing really much to say about this guy. I'm going to go ahead and put him right up there in stealth assassin. Next up, we got the Unknown. Next up, we got Vecna, or I guess the Lich. Realistically here, this guy, even with his power, not a stealth killer in my opinion. There is not a chance that he can be stealth. Though he can give you surprise attacks in some way or another using his power, but nothing too crazy here, similar to the artist. So I'm going to put him up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Next up, we got Dracula. Now the only way Dracula can be a stealth killer is if he's in bat form, but either way you can literally see him and you can hear him coming. So it's not really a stealth killer at all. Due to that, I'm going to put him up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Last but not least, we got the Houndmaster. The Houndmaster, she's definitely not a stealth killer at all. I don't think there is any chance of her being stealth. Then again, unless you're using perks, if you're using perks such as like Insidious or Monitor, then she can surprise attack some survivors here, which would make sense, but that's really because of the perk, not the actual killer itself. She is going to go straight up there in Chaotic Maniacs. Anyways, this is going to be my stealth versus chaos ChatGPT challenge tier list. Some of you are going to agree with my choices, some of you are going to disagree. That's always how a tier list goes. But anyways, with all that said, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next time. Have a good night, guys.